So I'm Gill Loats, and the track I've chosen is Papa's Got a Brand New Pig Bag by Pig Bag. I was the first female DJ at the Dugout in about 1978. I started. I'd been working on the bar there for about a year, and I decided that, there were all blokes doing DJing, and I just thought, well, I'd quite like to have a go at that. It didn't really strike me that it was different, particularly being a girl, but I realised there weren't any. So I asked the owner if I could have a chance at DJing. He said, yes, you can have a go, see what you like. So I did one session, and his name was Brian Jones, and I purposely played Me and Mrs. Jones by Billy Paul, says that he could dance slowly, with Debbie, who is now his wife and has been for many, many years. So that was a bit of female intuition, which I think a lot of male DJs don't actually, well, they don't have female intuition, but I don't think they necessarily look at their audience in perhaps the same way as women do. The Dugout was very different to other clubs because the Dugout didn't appear to be a pickup joint or a cattle market, as I used to call them. Places like Platform 1, Vadim's, the girls would all put their handbags in the middle and dance around them, and the blokes would stand around the outside and decide, who they were going home with that night. The Dugout was a lot more subtle, and the same things applied probably, but it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel the same, and everybody danced together, and it was entirely different. I think there are misconceptions about the Dugout over the years. I think that is from the people that didn't go there as opposed to the people that did, or people that went there once and had an unfortunate experience, which I'm sure a lot of people did have unfortunate experiences. Some people had unfortunate experiences and still carried on going there. But I think there are misconceptions, and certainly the older generation and the Evening Post had some misconceptions about it, or some fears about it, perhaps. They weren't necessarily misconceptions, but because of its membership, it was a very eclectic mix of people. And lots of the other clubs around Bristol, like Vadim's and Curves and Platform 1, all played disco or one sort of music, and they didn't really sort of deviate into indie music or reggae or anything like that. And as punk and post-punk and indie music came into play, then the Dugout was probably one of the only places that played that sort of thing. I really liked playing when Bristol bands started making singles. I always liked to include, one or two of them. But trying to make sure that I played Bristol music was sometimes quite difficult because some of the music was quite obscure and not particularly dancey. So when Pig Bag came along, Papa's Got a Brand New Pig Bag was totally dancey, and it was a very, very high energy dance, so you were totally and utterly exhausted by the end. But as a DJ, it was a great music to play in between different genres, because it moved something indie perhaps into funk and playing a bit of that, and then that's into reggae, etc. So it was a great piece of music from that point of view. So there are bands that we know and that are still recording now, like the pop group, that fit into the Bristol sound. But there are also an awful lot of bands that don't fit into that trajectory, and therefore we've forgotten them.